Hey, my loves, it's Tiffany, the Miracles Coach. So I'm super fired up. I'm just dropping in today because I just finished recording day 5 of the Millions in Miracles activation. And so I'm just in this energy and I thought I'd just come share it with you, give you some of this overflow. But one of the things that I promised that I would come back and talk about was why I decided to make some of the episodes of Miracles Unscripted public and why I believe that this will change the game for so many of you out there who have taken interest in my channel. In a previous episode, I talked about why you're seeing these episodes, even though it is a quote unquote private podcast. There are still private episodes, but I will make them public every now and again because I feel like it's an awesome experience. Some of my most fun, real, authentically, and unapologetically me content and work. And I wanted it to be something that people could get a true feel of who I am and a true sense of my personality. And that's why I wanted to share it. There are some things that I like to be able to just voice out loud to my audience because I believe it will help them too. And I remember I had this old Miracles Unscripted episode, probably from like August or September, where I had this whole like meltdown in the episode. And I always think about like, I don't know if this stuff is really stuff that I should be sharing. And that's why I was like, it's not meant for public consumption. Because I really get raw and real in some of these. I'm someone who processes out loud. Talk therapy really works incredibly well for me. And even if I'm just talking to myself, it's just something about knowing that you're on the other side of it listening at some point, whenever that is. It could be literally the day that I recorded it, or it could be somebody listening to it a decade from now. It's just that knowing that someone else will get to witness the journey with me, it helps me to just kind of let it all go and move through things and move on. And so sometimes in Miracles Unscripted, you might hear me in what sounds like a complete spiral or meltdown. And that one in August or September, it really made me question whether anybody should ever hear these, including Inner Circle, right? But here's what I've realized. That messy part of things, that messy middle is what some people call it. That is part of the surrendered business experience too. I'm not just teaching you just framework and surrendered business. I'm showing you what it actually looks like to live it in real time. All of the spirals, the breakthroughs, the questions, the clarity, all of it. You're not just learning the concept. You're watching me embody it. You watch me process it and come out on the other side. And I think that matters so much because most of us need to see real work, real transformation, the feeling, the moving through it, the integration, everything that comes before it, after it, in between, all of it. And that's what Miracles Unscripted is. And in the surrender business experience, I do teach you frameworks and I give you structure and foundational pieces and the how-to of surrender in your own business. But what I love about Miracles Unscripted is that it is me living it in real time. Like, it's me demonstrating it for you. I am literally doing it, embodying it right in front of you in real time. And that's the main thing I want anybody to know that comes into my space and on my channel. I am embodying the things that I teach you. I'm not just talking about some stuff that I am not living myself. I am showing you in real time through Miracles Unscripted. And I love the fact that it's public now. So more of you actually get to see this in real time. Publicly, you get to see how I am moving through this. All of the messiness and the miracles, because both of them matter so much. You get to see everything. So you're not just learning in concept, you're actually seeing it lived out. So while I want to get back to the surrender business experience as soon as possible, I feel like God, it's funny because I feel like I've been set up. Like, I feel like God set this all up in such a beautiful, miraculous way. Like, just having me from the beginning do the behind the scenes episodes, and now eventually I had no idea that those things would ever see the light of day, or at least not publicly, right? I knew that there would be people listening to them when they came into my private spaces, but not on YouTube. But it's like God just had it all perfectly orchestrated, and he set this all up, and he made it even more powerful for you that you get to see me being it and embodying it every day. And isn't it just like really crazy and amazing how God does that? So it's just like I get this vision of like, you know how like when you're walking on one of those, I mean, not that we all do this every day, but you've seen movies and stuff where people are walking on these real rickety, like wood rope looking bridges that just look like they're not really going to hold on much longer, very wobbly. And that's like a real faith walk to have to walk across it. That's what sometimes this feels like. Sometimes life in business feels just like that. It's scary. And sometimes we feel like the whole thing is going to freaking collapse right up under us. Meanwhile, God is right there, like with the divine master plan, and he's holding it all together. And the awesome thing about it is that the plan is so much better than ours, anything that we could ever even dream or conceive of. So It's interesting because I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers yesterday, and she has this new thing where she calls it yapping. Like, it is literally just exactly what Miracles Unscripted is. Like, once a week she comes on and she just shares. And she was even saying how she was having a hard time with this because she feels like it's something that's just talking, right? And there's no takeaway. Like, are people really getting value from this? And I can totally relate to that. One of the many questions I had when I decided, do I really want to make this public? Is it really going to be valuable for people? Is this really going to benefit them? And there's nothing wrong with that, I guess. But sometimes just talking through something helps another person, because if a person is going through something, for example, and you're experiencing something similar, and you then say, well, I went through this breakup with my boyfriend, or yeah, I'm going through this whole situation with work with this coworker, and this is what's happening, and I'm just feeling like this, or I had this problem in my business and I've just been struggling, and you're just sharing. Somebody out there, maybe not every single person. Like, I remember when I first started my business, my goal was just to touch one person every day. If one person could benefit from what I was sharing or doing, then I felt like I had done what I needed to do for that day. And what I loved about that too is that I often got confirmation. Sometimes I'd post something and just be like, okay, I'm just going to post this because I'm feeling it today, or I feel like somebody might need this today. And then that person, or a person will comment and just be like, oh my God, that blessed me so much. And it could be like the smallest thing. It doesn't have to even be a big deal. It's just something that I posted and they were just like, I really needed to hear that today. Thank you. And that's what you have to trust, right? So I always had that intention, and that was all I really cared about. So it didn't really matter to me whether the masses loved it, or I don't care if everybody is liking or subscribing or doing whatever. It doesn't matter to me, because most of the time, most people can relate to those things anyway, even if they don't comment and tell you that. And I remember a quote that I shared in my very first YouTube video, something along the lines of what's most personal is universal. I always screw the quote up and I put it on the screen then, but I'm not doing all of that now because we're just in the Miracles Unscripted audio, and this is no editing. This is no nothing. So it's just supposed to be go, and that's it. So basically the process is just hitting the button, record, send, and that's how I did it for the longest time in Telegram, because it was just so easy to do that. And so interestingly, you guys know that the Miracles realm exists in school, but I also have a little spot on Telegram that's called the Realm of Miracles, which is just somewhere where I just would drop random thoughts, random ideas, different things that I wanted to remember, that I wanted to share, stuff like that. And basically it kind of turned into Miracles Unscripted. Well, it did turn into Miracles Unscripted when I started my YouTube channel, because I just decided one day that I was just going to start recording and sharing my experience behind the scenes. And so it was the only Telegram spot I had that didn't have another person in it. So it was just kind of like a private spot that I had created. And so I was like, I'm just going to start recording these and see what happens. And I also did the same thing back in 2023. This is the first time I ever did it. But back in 2023, when I did the surrender experience, I started recording behind the scenes because I wanted to share my experience with surrender as I went. And I really loved doing that. And I got so much positive feedback from that, from the women who were in the program with me. And they were just sharing in the comments like, wow, I just love being able to see how you work through this and walk through this process. And it really helps me to see you going through what you go through and still being able to come out on the other side of it. And like, not even, it's almost like you come through it, not flawlessly, but you almost just kind of come through it without so much efforting and struggle, and like it didn't have to be so hard, because when you surrender, it just eases the process. Things start to flow better, right? And so they were just sharing like it was so helpful for them to be able to see that. And that's what I think one of the biggest things is for us having people in our lives. It's just that we don't ever want to feel like alone, or sometimes I think we feel like our struggles are ours and nobody else goes through this stuff and I'm the only one struggling. And I know we know that other people do, but it's almost like when you're in your own personal things, it just feels personal, right? And so we don't realize that there's so many people out there going through the same types of things. And so when other people share, it really gets us to see like, wow, this other person is going through this stuff. I want people to be able to see, wow, Tiffany goes through these same types of things that I go through, and she's still out there being powerful and doing what God called her to do. And she's out there talking and sharing her life, and I can do the same exact thing, And so that's the whole point. But this YouTuber, like I said, I was watching one video where she was yapping, and she was just saying how like, oh my God, I just feel like I'm messing up everything, and I'm doing this wrong, and I'm doing that wrong. And she just was going through her own process while she was in the video with us. And then she kind of just started coaching herself. And she was like, wait, did I just coach myself through that? Well, yeah, you did, because that's exactly what happens. I do the same thing all the time. We really do this all the time. So even when we're going through things, we work through them, and it works really well for us to do it out loud. And I just love that. So I documented the journey when I started my YouTube channel, and I really wanted to have that for like myself too. I didn't just do it for you guys. I really wanted to document for me, but then I also knew that it would benefit you guys as well too. And it was the same thing in 2023. And I'm so glad that I did that, because when I was about to record the surrender experience this time, I went back and listened to a lot of those behind the scenes, and I was just blown away by my process at that time. And I felt like I was way more grounded and surrendered, because that year was a surrender year for me. 2023 was like, yeah, it was a year. That's all I can say. And I was fully surrendered in that year. But this year was a very good year for me. Well, not this year, because now we're in 2026, which is crazy. But in 2025 was a great year for me, but it was a very actiony year. Like, I did a lot more actioning than I've done in a few years. But I guess God is preparing me, and he was setting me up for all of these different things that are now I'm starting to see, like, oh, I see now why I did that. And I see how this fit here. And, it all makes sense now. But my point is, a lot of times we do this for us, but it also benefits other people to watch us go through it. And I always know that even if it doesn't resonate with everybody, there's somebody out there that this is touching, and that's what matters. And so, yeah, back in July, when I decided, like, I'm going to focus on work, and I'm going to start this YouTube channel, I'm going to do what God is calling me to do, I'm going to get serious about it, all that stuff. Well, it's almost like things flowed for a little while, and then I got stuck. Little crap would come up, little things would distract me, and I just kept getting sidetracked. And it was frustrating, because I was just like, and I'm not saying I wanted to like go hard or anything, because that's kind of what I like, I'm ready to go hard, like I'm ready to do this. And it's just like everything keeps coming up to stop me. And that's against everything I teach. So I'm not trying to talk about going hard, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you make a decision. You say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to focus. I'm going to be serious about what God is telling me to do. And we're really going to do it this time, right? You set that intention. It's like, I'm not playing around anymore. When you lock in. And then out of the blue, right, you have these times where everything starts popping up. All of these weird things start happening. Anything that could possibly happen and anything that could possibly be an issue becomes an issue. And it'd be little crazy stuff. Like, for me, it's little stuff in my family, or little things like with my daughters, or I might get in some little stupid argument with my husband, or it's always just something that steals your attention away. Like, even that death I had in my family back in October, that basically had me off my channel for like 2 months, which really, it wasn't just that, it was multiple things that happened. My daughter got sick, like there was a ton of things going on. Every time situations came up, it was just throwing me off my square, And then I even had, you guys know, I launched Millions in Miracles on Monday. Like, on the 2nd, I was so excited about that date. And there was another crazy situation that happened in my family. And I'm not going to share any details about that right now, honestly, because I don't even know if I can get through it without having a whole episode or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'll just say that I'm proud of how I was able to work through that. And it was just completely different from how it was in August, when I had that whole meltdown on my Miracles Unscripted episode. And I just feel like I've grown so much from there. But even besides that, I know that this is just natural human stuff. We really have to understand that, and we have to really learn to give ourselves grace too, because that is really important. Like, we are going to be human. We are going to go through human stuff. Life will life. You got to give yourself grace. You got to move through it and move on. But that's also why I share this stuff, because it is human stuff that all of us go through. And that's why it's so helpful to have people like this that share these types of things, so that you can see, listen, it's not just you. We all go through these things, and you're going to make it through, and you're going to come out on the other side, and you're going to be just fine. And that's always what I want people to know. But like I said, every time I got really serious about work, something else would come up. And it almost kind of felt like, I'm like, okay, God, it's like the universal forces are working against me. And this is how I felt for years. That's why I've been so in and out of my business, because when stuff started getting crazy, I'd be like, you know what? I don't have time for this. I surrender. I'm fine financially. I can just really focus on my kids and just do what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I don't ever have to think about this business ever again. But I just knew that that wasn't going to happen, right? I mean, and honestly, there were some years, the last few years of my business, I just did not love my business. I honestly really despised it. And I was just like, you know what, God? I don't want to do this anymore. I literally told God, you have to show me a different way to do this, or I just cannot do it anymore. And I'm going to have to let this go. And I mean, obviously that's crazy, because I mean, who am I to tell God no to my purpose? But that's really how I felt in the moment, though, because I just felt like I don't want to do this anymore. And unless you can show me a different way, I give up. I'm tired of the algorithm. I'm tired of the rat race. And that's what it was. It was all the extra stuff, all the social media crap, all the things that I thought I had to do, being on social media every day. Like, I don't even go on social media anymore most days. And I won't get too deep into that, because I talked about it in a different episode and why I chose to remove myself from social media. But all of that to say, the business was literally sucking the life and the joy out of me. And social media was what was actually sucking the life out of my business and the joy out of my business. And when God showed me a different way, it was like, wow, And honestly, it's so funny because it wasn't really new. He had always been giving me this blueprint, but I kept trying to do it my way or the way I thought that it was supposed to be done. And so by the time I started the channel, I thought it would be a lot smoother. I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm enjoying my business again. I'm lit up. I'm on fire. I'm ready. Let's go. But then the little stuff was still coming up and I was just like, what is happening? Like, I just didn't get it. And it was weird because I knew that I was stepping into a new, I knew that not only was I stepping into a new identity, like my entire business and my whole purpose and all of that had been redefined. Like it was clearer. It was a completely new lens that I was seeing it through. So I knew I was different. I knew it was different. Like I could feel that, but it was still chaos ensuing around me every time I tried to get serious about work. And it was just these ridiculous distractions that would come up and just steal my joy and my energy and my focus. And it was frustrating because it almost made me feel like, and I don't even know if almost is accurate. Like I felt like this stuff is just distracting me from my goals and literally from my future. I cannot create the life that I want if these little things are happening. And it seems like the only time these little things are happening is when I'm trying to quote unquote work in my business. As long as I'm living my beautiful, miraculous life and I'm waking up every morning, I'm spending hours with God in my own space, I'm loving on him, I'm loving on me, I'm taking care of myself, prayer, meditation, breath work, yoga, listening to my mentors, whatever it is that I'm doing that day to get myself in alignment or whatever, I flow into my day with my kids. I'm momming, homeschooling, cooking dinner, hanging out with them, just living life. That's cool. Life is peaceful. All of that works just fine. I can do that all day, every day. But as soon as I say work, as soon as I open my laptop, the website's down, or something's acting crazy. It was just like, nope. And I was just thinking, what is this? And I know it's a nervous system thing, especially in hindsight. Now I definitely know that. And I want you to see this in your own life too, because it's not the things that are happening. It's really more about how we are responding to them and how we're seeing them and how it plays out in our minds and in our body. And this is something that I dealt with for a really long time. It was definitely coming up a lot when I first got back to work, back in those early months of starting my channel. And I was just going back in front of an audience, and I'm sure that there was a part of me that was probably just freaking terrified of being visible again. I didn't even recognize it in the moment because even though I've been doing this work for a decade, all of this was new to me. It was like, oh my God, I'm going back out there. I'm doing this thing again. I don't know what to expect. Like I'm going to be doing it publicly too, because like I told you guys, I was hiding in my group for a decade. So I hadn't even really been out publicly in years, like probably for close to a decade, because I probably haven't been out publicly on a live stream since maybe like 2017. So I always feel fine being in the group because those are my people. I know those people. They know me. But I don't know you guys that well yet. I don't know. Some of you guys might have already been in my space, but I don't know who's really out there watching these videos. And yeah, it was all a little nerve-wracking at first, and I don't even think I really realized that. But I was probably thinking, or probably in my body, it was like, oh my God, how are people going to receive this? Are people even going to listen? Is it just going to be crickets? Is nobody going to be watching the videos? It was just a lot of pressure, and I didn't know what to expect, and my nervous system was reacting to that. So I didn't realize what was happening beneath the surface. The nervous system was doing all this work to keep me safe. So it wasn't that the situations that were happening were that big. It was that I was making them big so that I could have a reason to be like, you know what? I tap out. I can't do this right now. Like, think about that. We really do this. Our nervous systems are designed for safety. They need to feel safe. And anything that looks like a threat is like, nope, you're not going to do that. So I want you to notice that kind of stuff when it happens in your life too, so it doesn't take you out. Because I was letting it take me out for years instead of really stepping up to it. But at the end of the day, I don't think I was ready to really step into the identity that I knew I was being called into. And so that's a whole other conversation for a different day. But I didn't realize that I was terrified. And I think I didn't realize that because I know what I do is valuable, right? I know that I'm just going to come out here, I'm going to share, and people are going to like it or they're not. I can't control how they respond. I can't control what anybody thinks about it or whether they like it or not. Like, I can't be anybody but me. So it was a struggle at first, but I was telling this friend that I just love to flow from one thing to the next, and I can be doing a number of things throughout the day. I actually have something that I call the miracle method that I just recently shared for the first time ever in Millions and Miracles. And this miracle method is basically full of all the things that I pretty much do every morning or every day that I highly suggest that people do if they want to live a miraculous millionaire life. And so I do them all randomly in different ways, And it's kind of like an unintentional checkpoint system. Like, it's not like I'm checking boxes every day. I used to do that, but I decided that I didn't want to have a masculine, morning routine anymore. Like, I want it to be very feminine and very flow. So I just decide what I want to do, and I let God guide me into everything that I'm doing. I don't really force anything. I don't say I have to touch this today, I have to do this. But the method was something that I wanted to just kind of give you an outline of things that, hey, you can try these things each day, and this is going to make your life way more powerful. And I've seen such a huge difference in the last year that I've been really intentional about doing these things. I've always been really intentional about a morning routine, but I think being more intentional about letting it be more feminine and less masculine, and not feeling like I had to check all these boxes, or I wasn't going to be spiritual enough, or God wasn't going to be pleased enough, and I wasn't going to be able to get the things that I was asking for because I wasn't doing it right or whatever. This performing, checking boxes, doing all this stuff, trying to earn our way to stuff, it has to stop. And so the miracle method was just something that I created that I wanted to share. And so for those of you who are in that experience with me, you know what I'm talking about, and you get the full view of what that looks like. I share how I can spend hours on it with God. I take time to learn because I'm an avid learner, I'm an avid reader, I'm somebody who likes to know all the things. It's just who I am. And so I can be in this space with God for hours. And a lot of times what happens is I fill myself up so much, and I allow the space for God to fill me up so much that I literally begin overflowing. And that overflow is just what I have to share. So that's basically what Miracles Unscripted is. It's being filled up, and then I'm like, oh, I got to share this. So like whatever I'm experiencing that day, whatever I've learned or something that I've gleaned from something that I've been listening to or watching or whatever, it's just things that I have. Sometimes they're just percolating on the inside of me. Like, sometimes you just get that download, something comes up, it's like, oh, I need to share that. And a lot of times that happens when I'm in that space with God in the morning time. So it could be something that I heard months ago or something that God downloaded in his presence. It's just a continuation. It's like an overflow. And I heard somebody say it so beautifully the other day. She was just saying something to the extent of like, we don't pour from our cup, we pour from our saucer. So we fill ourselves up, and then we allow that to overflow into the lives of others. So you get what's on the saucer. And when I had a vision of that, I was thinking saucers are not bowls. They're not even big plates. It's a small plate. It's shallow, and it doesn't have a lot of space. But when I saw mine and when I had the vision, it was almost like mine was just constantly overflowing and overflowing and overflowing. And it was just everywhere because I'm so full. And that's what it is. And so when the friend was asking me, well, if you just love to do that and you just love to flow right into everything that you're doing, what would it look like if you just let your business overflow in the same way? Like, what would it look like if you allowed your business to just flow straight from that, straight from your time with God, being in your own energy, being in your own space, and just enjoying and loving life? What if you could just flow straight into work from that? And I was like, well, it's not that easy because it takes all of this planning and preparing, and I got to do this, and I got to think about that, and I got to edit this video, and I got to do this, and blah, 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 blah. And they were just like, well, but wait, slow down for a minute. Think about it. Like, what would it look like if you just decided that you were just going to flow straight into it? And honestly, it took me a minute, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know how to just flow right into it. But I did, because Miracles Unscripted was already a thing. And literally 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, if I'm recording a Miracles Unscripted audio, it came from me flowing straight from that space. Okay, you know what? I had to stop recording, and because I have my heat on and the temperature goes up and down, but it's getting later in the day, so it's getting warmer in the house. So first of all, I had to turn that off because it is burning up in my room. My window was open, the sun coming in, and it was beating on me all of a sudden. And then I had my heat on, which I usually turn on because it's usually cooler, but it's getting a little warmer throughout the day. So it just got really hot. And I think when I'm recording, I get really passionate and I'm just like going. And yeah, I was burning up. So I had to stop and turn the I had to turn the heater off. And then also I realized that I had no idea that I was way over my time, because I try to keep these under 20 minutes or around 20 minutes at most. And so I realized that there probably just needs to be a part 2 to this audio, even though I didn't intend on doing that. So yeah, I'm just going to edit this part on. I want to let you guys know I'm going to wrap up the audio here, and I'll just make a part 2 to this. It'll probably drop in the next couple of days, and then you can listen to the next part, because I have so much that I want to share about this. But in the meantime, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening to these. I love Miracles Unscripted, and I'm glad to see that it looks like you guys love it too. So please come back and listen to the next part, and then I will talk to you soon. Okay? Lots of love and miracles. Mwah.